Good evening. My name is Melissa Poston, and welcome to our event at the Novel Neighbor with Michelle Mason and her debut novel, Your Life Has Been Delayed, and she is in conversation tonight with Debbie Rigo. Debbie is the co-author of Alyssa Milano's New York Times bestselling Hope series and the author of Simone Breaks All the Rules and Truly Madly Royally. She grew up in East Orange, New Jersey, and started her career writing for entertainment and teen magazines. She now lives with her husband and children in Columbus, Ohio. And tonight we are here to celebrate Michelle Mason. She just announced that she has her second novel coming out in September of 2022 called My Second Impression of You. And that one is also from Bloomsbury YA, who are the publishers of Your Life Has Been Delayed. Michelle spent 10 years as a PR manager promoting everything from forklift rodeos, I'd like to hear more about that, to Hotel Olympics, before deciding she'd rather focus on made-up stories. When she isn't writing, she's probably reading, watching too much TV, cross-stitching, baking amazing brownies, or playing the violin. Michelle lives in St. Louis with her husband, 2 kids, a dog, and 2 cats. So please welcome Debbie and Michelle.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Melissa.
I'm so excited to be here with you, Michelle. Congratulations.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I love your books.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. This is a thrill because as soon as I read the premise for your book, I was like, I need this book. And so when you reached out, I was like, yes. So thanks for this opportunity. I'm really excited tonight. And, happy book birthday to you.
Thank you so much.
And let's just have fun and just celebrate. I know this is really cool tonight because this is a hybrid event.
Yes.
And, after so long of all of us doing virtual events, you get to do a hybrid event. How is it going?
It's great. I've got some friends and family upstairs. It's so cool. And some people that I haven't gotten to see in a year. So yeah, it's really exciting to be here in person and to be able to celebrate with people both virtually and in person.
Yeah, the energy must be so great with, all the build up to this book release. And I'm so glad you get to savor it and enjoy it. And we're really, really thrilled for you. This book is such a page turner. I enjoyed reading it so much and I can't wait to get more information because I want to know some things.
All right.
So let's start it off. Can you pitch the book for us?
Absolutely. So it's about 17-year-old Jenny who gets on a plane in New York in 1995. And when she lands in St. Louis, she and the other passengers are told that their plane disappeared 25 years ago. So, at first she just thinks that's a huge prank because why would you believe that? But once that really sinks in, that's a lot to adjust to. Just personally and also everything in the world that's different in a whole new century.
It immediately puts you at the edge of your seat as you're following this journey with Jenny and seeing what she sees as she sees it, the way you're describing, and this is no spoiler, but just kind of how she sees modern people, the behavior is different and all the things that you have picked up and we see through Jenny it's really amazing. And it makes you kind of pause and take stock of how we are today. But this is your debut book.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, what an amazing debut it is. But before we get into it, I just wanted to ask some other first. So this is your first book. Can you tell us what was your first plane ride?
Oh, yeah. So that's a fun one. And I don't think they do this anymore. But when I was 10, my family went on a trip to the Grand Canyon and they took us on this tiny little rickety plane that flew into the Grand Canyon. And having never been on, we drove to the Grand Canyon and then they put us on this tiny little plane and we're looking out the window. That's pretty scary.
It is. And you're very brave for doing that. Did you?
I don't think my parents gave us much of a choice, really.
Right. Yeah. I love the modeling of this is normal. So then you're like, okay, I feel really weird about this, but they're acting normally. So, okay.
Yeah.
When you're
I mean, it was cool, but I don't think they let people do that anymore.
I doubt it, like the last time I went to Grand Canyon, they did have like those helicopter rides to the bottom. And I remember my husband saying like $10. You have to charge me more than that. Because he's like, I want you to charge me more to get in that because then he'd feel safer about it. But
Right.
Well, you live to tell.
Yes.
And can you what was your first international flight?
Oh, my first international flight was actually a trip to Europe. My husband and I went to it was like our last trip before having kids. So we went to London, Edinburgh, and Paris.
Nice.
I would totally go back there again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You need to go back. It's been a while for me. But international flights, the first one I did, I took alone. And I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I went alone and I went to London. Yeah. Went to London.
Well, and I mean, that's like, it's hard because we like, as soon as we got off the plane, because, you can't check into your hotel yet. So we went on one of those like double-decker bus tours around London, and I slept through the whole thing.
No way. Oh, well, it hits you. That jet lag hits you. And speaking of jet lag and going through time zones, I read about you saying, and I'd love for you to share like how you got the inspiration for this book, because did it involve international travel?
It did, yes. So, like a few years ago, I tagged along on my husband's business trip to Australia, which is
nice.
Like, he does not usually travel internationally. That was like really out of the ordinary. So we were like, we're taking advantage of that.
Heck yeah.
And so when we were coming back, I was like really fascinated by the fact that when we got on the plane, it was 11 o'clock in the morning. And when we landed, it was 7 o'clock in the morning the same day. So we had like, and it was like, I know people probably do this all the time and this is just a time zone thing. But to me, it felt like time travel.
Oh my goodness. And
I just thought, what if you get on a plane and it lands in a totally different year? What would that be like?
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, and it just kind of kept, simmering. And I like to put notes in my phone. If I have a story idea, especially if I'm in the middle of something else at the time, which I was. And I kept adding additional thoughts to that story idea. So that's when I knew that it was really an idea that I was going to run with.
Yeah. That a writer's mind, your experiences, things that you hear instantly become fodder, and then you just kind of delve into it and explore it. And at that time, were you, I know you are by trade, you work in PR.
I do, yeah.
But you have always been a writer. Did you have, since you were a child, have you always felt like you were a writer? And at the time that you got this idea, had you made the decision already to pursue writing a book?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes, I always loved writing when I was a kid. I used to write those little, like at school when they would laminate your books. I still have those. I mean, they're in a box at home. But yes, so this was actually the 7th book that I had written and queried. So I had written 6 other full-length manuscripts, and just had not found the right, it just wasn't it yet. But I didn't give up. I just kept going. And when I wrote this one, it just kind of felt different. And it felt different with like my critique partners too. They were like, I think this is it, which is awesome. When I think there's a different feeling when your critique partners are telling you that too, even though they love everything even when they do love the other things you've written, when they say that, like, this is really it. And it turned out to be true. So
wow,
that was really exciting.
Yeah. You kind of feel it, don't you? And it's also like when I'm revising or writing the first draft, I'm always like, I don't love this yet. Then there's a moment where you're like, okay, it's usually because there's a plot knot, as I like to call them, or just, with me, a lot of times it's just not enough tension, or sometimes I come up with the idea of, sometimes some people, come up with the idea of the character, like, wouldn't it be great to have a character who, and with me, a lot of times I'm premise based, but then I don't know what happens next. So when it all comes together, you sort of know. And then with the other things that you were writing, were they also YA contemporary with a little bit of sci-fi, or?
I've written a little bit of several different things. I've written YA, like I wrote this one that was like kind of comic suspense, and I've written contemporary. I also tried writing middle grade. So yeah, I think I've kind of like done a lot of genre hopping, which is, but yeah. So I don't know. It's been a journey to get to this point, and then my I don't know what I'll write next. I'm always finding something different to hop into. I don't know if you feel that way. Do you do that too?
I do. And I'm all for that, because I feel like ultimately, I feel more like a storyteller.
Yeah.
And that comes in all forms, So I feel happiest when I'm telling a story, when I'm delving into a character, when I'm sharing it with readers. But that comes sometimes, so far I've done YA and middle grade, and I'm starting to work on picture books as well.
Oh, fun.
And also interested in screenwriting. And so it's just, sometimes I'm like, I'm just a storyteller.
I like that.
Yeah. So I totally relate, and there's so many ways to tell a story, as in PR.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's storytelling.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about finding the story for, like, when I worked full time in PR for 10 years, and I still do some freelance work for some of my clients, but for sure it's about finding that story for the client. And now I'm just finding the story for my characters and figuring out the best way to tell it. So,
right. Because it's the story that connects us, right? Like, this telling stories is really just the way that we build community and we share an experience. And so it's such a thrill to be in this space. And I'm so excited that you get to experience it on this level. You've always been experiencing it. So now this is like a new taste of it. And so it's really been great. And I really enjoy how you've been building up to this launch date. You had a lot of fun with counting down this book. And I especially liked the song and video you did, the Jenny song.
Yeah,
I was singing along.
Oh, that's great. So I just thought, that song, Jenny, is so perfect. I felt like that I should just adapt that. So if anyone hasn't seen my Jenny, It's Not 1995 song,
check it out.
You can find it on my website or on my IGTV. Yeah. And my family are my backup singers.
Nice.
So
what is it? It's not what is it?
It's not 1995.
Yeah, I was doing the harmony. I was like, yeah, 90s girl with the harmony.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And would you say that? Well, it's funny that we're talking about time travel when this time that we're in, time feels kind of flat. Does it not? Yeah. Like, for a while, people were like, well, what day is it?
I know. I still feel that way sometimes, honestly.
I know. I'm like, the only thing that's really accurately telling time are the grays that are popping up. I was saying. So, like, not having been to the salon and seen my hairdresser in like the first year or whatever. That was like that lets me know. But other than that, it's been pretty flat. And I have to say that, historical fiction is one of my faves, and
I love it too.
contemporary is my wheelhouse. So seeing the two in tension in this story was just so much fun.
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit about Jenny's journey, and do you see comparisons as an adult person writing YA, like when you have to enter the high school cafeteria and high school classroom in your stories, and there's a lot of difference between when you were in school and now, did that occur to you? Like, you're like, okay, Jenny is the vehicle through which we're experiencing the story, but this kind of feels familiar as
I feel like, those experiences that I had as a teenager, I mean, some of them feel very distant, but some of them feel very, very close still. Mm-hmm. And so like when she was, I was writing this book, like you said, about the contemporary versus the historical. I mean, I was writing it from almost like a historical worldview for her.
Right.
So she's having to look at the present world from the view of someone who has grown up in the 80s into the mid 90s. And so there was a lot of research involved with that. And I was a teenager in the 90s, but I couldn't just rely on my memory. I had to like really double and triple check things because memory is really tricky.
Yes.
And I mean, you'll think that something happened a certain year, and then you'll go look it up and be like, oh, actually that was either a lot longer ago than you thought or more recent than you thought.
Really wild.
And it's really, so you can't rely on your memory. So there was a lot of research involved. I felt like it actually made it a little trickier because I was a teenager at the time, because I would be sure that something was like that and then be like, nope, actually not. And as far as like what it's like in schools now, just a lot of observation and I've been in schools and seen how they operate now, like volunteering, or I have my son's not in high school yet, but I do have a middle schooler. So I have been in like the middle school and at least seen how that operates. And then you like see and you talk to other parents that do have teenagers and you see how it's working in the school today too. So.
Yeah. And it's interesting how you talk about, well, through the story, I picked up on how you were saying that technology shapes us a lot more than we realize sometimes. Time shapes us, because Jenny comes back and the people she knew look completely different because it's been 25 years. But then she finds that people were shaped in other ways too, and that is by technology. And at one point, I think someone writes their number on her hand. And it was someone from the plane that, from 25 years ago. And I thought that's so great that you captured that, because that is something that I don't remember. When's the last time you've done that? Like, when's the last time, you said, let me go to the library to research,
right.
The way Jenny has a hankering for. So seeing how that shapes us, is that something that did you sort of, in kind of prepping we'll get into like the way that you sort of like outline, if you're a pantser, if you outline, but as you're gathering research and writing down notes, is this something that you did like where you were sort of making these epiphanies and collecting all your like, oh, I have to put that one in, that
Yeah. I definitely was making lists of what would she have then in 1995 versus what do we have now, and what would she be using, and what would seem really strange to her. So I made all kinds of lists, and I used some of them, and some things I didn't. And if you ask me which things I didn't use, I don't know if I could think of them off the top of my head right this minute. Although I know I never put a pager in that book, and those were way more popular in like the 90s than like a cell phone. Like teenagers had pagers all over the place in the 90s. Oh.
And it's great, yeah. The shorthands people have, you know, when they're texting or tweeting, they were pager shorthands, right?
Yeah, right. So, but anyway, you know, but there were some things like that where I was like, I just never found a place that it made sense to put that in there to mention it. But, but you know, it was like, what would she be doing? What would she think was strange? And how does that fit into the story itself? Because I didn't want to put in things that were gratuitous or just, you know, didn't fit what she's going through. But yeah, it was interesting, and I definitely was making lots of lists. I was doing lots of searches on things that have happened in the past 25 years, and like terminology, like even new words in that time period, and what were the things people were saying then that they don't say now, or things that even some things that don't exist now that did exist then.
Right.
You know,
and then you build the story from there, and there's a lot of the, you know, emotional moments and entanglements, and you know, Jenny's got to lead her life in this time, and there's a mystery that keeps, you know, turning the page. So as you're writing, would you say you were more of a pantser, or it sounds like you plot everything out? And what is your typical writing day, is particularly when you were writing this?
Yeah, so I am a plotter, but I'm not like a down to like every single little detail plotter. I use Scrivener, and I'm like a huge fan of Scrivener, and I'm
trying. It's such a steep learning curve.
I know, that's the thing I always tell people. I'm like if once you get into it, it's so great. But I know I've like actually like gone and given lessons to some people, some friends before that, you know, were so
and for everyone listening, Scrivener is a writing software that helps you organize your chapters, and your place all your research in an area where you can just kind of pull it up and everything's there.
Yeah, and I love it because I can
on Microsoft Word.
I like it because I can like move chapters around, and I can keep all my research files in there. I can keep everything in there. But the way I use it when I'm plotting is I create scenes for the whole book, and then I can't get a draft out unless I set a deadline for myself. And because I hate drafting, honestly, drafting is torture to me. So I'm definitely on the like, let me revise forever side of things. But so like I set a deadline for myself. I have a daily word count goal, and I will like get that draft out within, you know, 2 months usually. And I did that with this one, and I just like made a list of what are the worst things that I can do to Jenny, because I'm mean that way.
Girl.
Yeah, I'm like, I love you, Jenny, but you know, how can I just keep making things worse for you?
It's not bad enough that you're like 25 years out of your element.
Yeah, no, not quite bad enough. So, you know, and then I just like made that into into my outline, and then I just, you know, wrote out that draft. And I mean, I know the first draft was not great, but I had fun with the revision. So.
And that's where Scrivener helps. So your journey to publication is, okay, you had the manuscript done before you shopped it around to your agent, or did you get an agent off of a different manuscript?
No, I connected with my agent, who's Elizabeth Bewley at Sterling Lord Litteristic. And I connected with her with this manuscript. So.
Okay. And then, so the first manuscript that you got into an agent's, like an agent accepted, it went on to
and it was pretty quick. Like that was in 2018, so it's been a while ago.
Oh Wow.
And
for book publishing, it's not.
I know, yeah, I know. For publishing, that's not. I know, like people who aren't in publishing think that's a really long time.
Yeah,
but it's actually not. It's like pretty normal for things to take a couple years.
right.
So like, yeah, I signed with her in like October of 2018, and then we signed with my editor Allison Moore at Bloomsbury.
Yay!
And we announced that book deal in January of 2019.
Okay.
And then now the book is out. Yay!
Yay. I read where you said there was like an oh no moment, but everything smooths out. I'd love to hear about you finding out about a TV show that is similar and how you dealt with that.
Absolutely. So yeah, so that happened in this, like while I was drafting the book. Like I had just finished drafting the book in like the spring of 2018. And one of my writer friends here in St. Louis, I had lunch with her, and she sent me a message on Twitter, and she was like, have you heard about this TV show Manifest that's coming out? And she sent me a link to the story about it. And I totally freaked out because I'm like, this is the plot of my book. I mean, do I need to scrap this book? I mean, this TV show sounds just like my book. And I had been in pitch wars in 2017 for a different manuscript. And I like sent a panicked message to the people in my Facebook group for pitch wars. And they were so like supportive, and they said, no, don't scrap it. You need to just get it ready as fast as you can and query it. And my critique partners said the same thing. And then like I had like 12 people between my critique partners and people in pitch wars that like read that manuscript really fast and gave me notes so that I was ready to query by September. And they were all really awesome. And that was like amazing that they all read that book so quickly.
That's so amazing. And that's the power of community. You know, it's great that you have critique partners as writers, you know, all the writers out there that are listening. They're so invaluable having the critique partners. And we're fortunate to be in an age category where people are so like helpful in Kid Lit and welcome you. Like as soon as you join Kid Lit, as soon as you say you write Kid Lit, you know, I've found that people like welcome me in and like, you're one of us, you know, what do you need? And so that moment where you kind of like, well, let me just scrap it. And it's really awesome that, you know, how you persevered and just turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
Which has been. Have you seen Manifest?
Yeah, I did. So it came out right after I signed with my agent, and she said, you know, why don't we wait till after you do your edits before you watch it? And then so I did.
Yeah.
And then like the first season went in a very different direction from my book. So I was like, okay, you know, and now there have been 3 seasons of it. And Bloomsbury's been published, like they've been promoting my book as a YA contemporary manifest. So
nice.
It all works out.
It totally does. And then you learn that, you know, it's not the idea, but it's the execution of the idea.
Yeah.
So
absolutely,
multiple people can come up with the same idea. I've read different books and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so similar to mine, you know. But it's the execution. It's the, you know, it's the you factor.
Yeah. And I mean, and I enjoy the show. It's fun to watch, but it's you know, it's got the same basic thing, but it is different. So
it's different. Yeah. And you, this is a point where you kind of put yourself, you know, some of your influences, some of your loves and everything in it. For example, it's set in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other ways that you sort of can see that you put a little bit of your experience, your life, your anything else that you put in the book that makes it uniquely like something that you've experienced? Well, baseball, maybe?
Oh yeah, baseball for sure. which
Love that
I
because
mean,
I'm a fan of baseball.
I know, which I think is okay. So I have to say, because my characters are Cardinals fans and your characters are Mets fans,
Yes.
which in St. Louis we there was a big rivalry in like the 80s, and Jenny would totally know about that. I don't know. I don't know if you're.
Know. Simone might know too.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's funny because even in the New York City area, the Mets are the underdog, like the Yankees are. Like so, like as a Mets fan, we're like, yeah, add your name to the list. Of people that I mean, yeah.
I mean, like here, because we're in the National League, people really don't pay that much attention to the Yankees. They would care more about the Mets here.
Right.
Like
they exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason we just got that. people would hate on us. Yeah. Because I'm from a family of Yankee family, so and I was the lone Mets fan in my Yankee family.
Yes, but Dylan is a huge Cardinals fan, and I mean he's a baseball player himself. So but he also is a huge Cardinals fan, and his room is full of Cardinals. Cardinals paraphernalia. And so, yes, I did put I mean, I am a Cardinals fan. I grew up going to games. I haven't been to a game in forever, but I did grow up. I know I miss the games, but maybe next year.
Yes, we'll count on that. And for everyone listening, Dylan is the son of, can we say, like it's well,
we could say how about we say he's the son of her boyfriend.
Someone from the 90s.
Yes.
He's a teenager. So Dylan is a teen. And I love the scenes where there's a sort of a support group among the people from the flight talking to each other. At first, Jenny goes to these meetings thinking, yeah, I just want information, like what's going on, of like, how do we end up here? But then she realizes, people are going through a tough time. And I really liked that you included that. Like what made you think of making sure that you had that piece in it? There's so much intrigue and suspense, and there's a lot of great emotional moments here. But what was that important to you to include?
Yeah, I just really wanted to show that that the other people that were on the plane, and what else they might have gone through. Like I just kind of made a list of all the different things that might have happened, and it was just a small group of people. So there actually are so many more passengers, and I would love it if people like have a discussion about the book and come up with even more scenarios of what people might have come back to.
I love it.
Maybe it's even some good things. I don't know. It doesn't all have to be bad.
No, it doesn't. And I think now is a great time for us to kind of play a little game with the.
Okay.
We love.
I want to mention before we play the game that I do have scrunchies to give away.
Oh my goodness.
So, and I do have a couple of these for people online. So if people want a scrunchie to be entered for a scrunchie, then they just need to like make a comment saying, I think what we decided was they would say me.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. If they want to be entered in the drawing for scrunchie, is that what we're doing, Melissa?
Yeah, that sounds good. Sorry, I totally forgot to announce that at the top. So yeah, write me if you want to win a scrunchie.
Okay.
So much fun. Okay, so
and these. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna do the game. Okay.
Yes. First, your middle name is I. I'm wondering if anyone wants to guess what the I stands for.
Ooh.
I'm wondering what it is. So take your guesses. And so we're gonna like go back and think about Jenny's plight. Oh, poor Jenny. She's going through so much. So she's now in present day, and she's from 1995. So what are some things that Jenny discovers? So we're gonna, the answers to these are yes and no. Okay, I hope I'm explaining this right. I'm going to ask a question and you say yes or no. Was it in Jenny's world in the 90s, in the 1995? Okay. So the first one.
And the audience, in the live audience, is going to answer, and Melissa's going to share those, right?
Yes. Cassie will call on someone and then she'll feed it to me and I'll feed it to you.
Okay, but you can play online too if you want.
We're making it happen. And
all right.
No searching, just top of your head. Okay. We'll start very and easy. Google. Yes or no? House phones. Yes or no? Okay. The Hunger Games. Yes or no?
All right. So I think I have an answer from Patricia in the chat saying that no, Google did not exist.
That's correct. Google is 1998, so Jenny did not have access to Google.
Okay. And house phones?
All right. Cassie, do we have an answer for house phone? I've got Melissa says no to Hunger Games. Not me, Melissa.
No Hunger Games. And in fact, that plays a key role in the book that Jenny gets introduced to the Hunger Games.
Jamie K in the chat says yes, house phones.
For sure.
For sure. Now, what about cell phones, though? So there's a fine line of like cell phones. Did people have cell phones? Yes or no?
Just waiting to see.
And then we'll go on to it. You let us know if anyone comes in, but also
Dana says yes to cell phones.
Yes, they did have cell phones, but not smartphones. So that would be the difference.
Now, I want to know the answer to this. Marvel Universe movies? Yes or no?
We've got someone in the chat saying that they had a cell phone in 1992. That was way early.
Whoa!
Wow, I'm impressed. I didn't get one until I was in 1998.
Were the car phones around first, or
maybe like those ones that were attached like by a wire? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Valerie in the chat and Luke in person both say no to MCU.
Yeah. Not around in 1995. Poor Jenny.
Oh, they didn't know what she was missing.
Yeah.
And how about Amazon? That's a big one.
While we're waiting, the person in the chat says that her 1992 cell phone was about 3 inches thick.
I bet.
Yes, probably the size of her head too. Like,
yes.
It was probably like the Flintstone, the beginning of the Flintstone themes. Okay, so we're waiting for the Amazon answer.
Matthew says no.
Okay, so Amazon founded in July of 1995. So technically, yes, it was around it. It was around when Jenny left on August 2nd.
Oh boy.
I mean, she wouldn't really probably have known about it, but it was there.
It was there in a different form, but it was there. Okay, Netflix. Anybody remember Blockbuster video?
Oh, yeah.
That's what Jenny misses. I mean,
one of my first jobs was at one of those.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
got to ask you what your first job was.
Ooh, well, I mean, babysitting or McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
But they did not let me cook because I once burned
Yeah.
myself with the fry thing.
Oh man. Ouch.
We have a variety of people saying no to Netflix.
No,
Yeah,
Netflix.
correct.
They are correct. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, now how about laptops? This list really like shows you just how many advances, how many things we've lived through.
Jamie in the chat still has a Blockbuster gift card somewhere. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
wow.
I don't use that anywhere.
Oh man, that's too bad. I wonder if, I guess there's nowhere to adapt, like to shift that to.
No.
Yeah. So you use it as a bookmark. I like funky bookmarks. Like I take my, New York Metro card, like because I'm no longer home, and I use it as a bookmark. Just for memory's sake.
My dad still had his Blockbuster membership card. He gave it to me so I could use it in a video. So
nice. All right. So we've got Julia in person saying yes to laptops and Valerie in the chat saying no.
Oh, okay. Well, it is yes. There were laptops in 1985. And I didn't end up putting this in I think it might have been in an early draft, but the movie The Net came out in early 1995. That movie was all about, if Jenny had seen that, she would have had a much better understanding of everything the internet was going to turn into.
Sandra Bullock, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, she's amazing. The 90s queen there.
She was, for sure.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of superstars in Hollywood, how about the movie Titanic? Yes or no? My heart just go on. I feel like Gen Z knows about Titanic now and see, but like it's so enduring, like somehow.
Yeah. It's still like, I was looking at the list of the top movies, and it's still like really high on the highest grossing movies, even with
so much.
all the blockbusters.
Yeah.
I remember having friends that saw it like a dozen times.
Oh, well, there you go. They single-handedly help it become a block. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did anyone see it in the movie theater or?
I saw it twice in the movie theater.
Wow, there you go.
All right, we've got a couple of people saying it was 1998.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Wait, they were very
it's actually
about that. Did they Google that?
I think it's 97, but maybe it's 98. But either way, it was after Jenny. So
it was after Jenny.
After Jenny left.
And what about Baby Yoda?
Allison in the chat is reminding us that Titanic came on a double VHS tape when it came out, which
wow.
Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you for that throwback. I remember the double VHS tape. You have to make sure that we rewound. Yeah, that was me at work. Sure we rewound. Okay, I'm revealing too much.
All right, Valerie and Jamie say no Baby Yoda.
Yeah. Just the old Yoda.
Regular old Yoda. The old Yoda. Oh, this is so fun. I know we have to wrap up, but I want to know before we say goodbye, it's like what's on your future horizon? Like what looking forward to the future as we
so
ahead, what will be happening for you book-wise?
So my next book is called My Second Impression of You. It's coming next September. And
great title.
Yeah, I love it. And I just turned in my edits yesterday, and I'm really excited about it. It is about I don't think I've even really told people what my character's name is, but her name is Maggie, and she is really into musical theater. And after the worst week of her life, in which she breaks her foot right after her boyfriend dumps her because she's texting and walking, she gets the opportunity to go back to the best day of her life and relive it.
Wow,
so that's what it's about. And And then, discovers some things when she relives that day that, she has to decide if she wants to make some changes in her life when she comes back to the, her regular world. So.
Oh, so good. So good. Again, playing with time. I love it. What's one of your favorite time jump movies or books?
Ooh, that is a good question. One that I read like not too long ago that I loved was Opposite of Always.
Oh yes,
that book was so good.
Yeah. He's an Ohio guy. And so that's coming out next September.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a YA.
Yes.
It's a YA. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for everyone to please grab Your Life Has Been Delayed. It's so good. I love it. I loved Jenny. I loved, her family and I'm kind of a nervous flyer. And I flew recently and I, took the book along and so reading about at least the plane didn't crash. So
I know. Well, it's not a plane crash.
It's nothing like that. So for nervous flyers, this is a safe zone. This will help you, imagine another adventure. The next destination could be who knows when, So it's really, really great. And congratulations on completing the editing because I know that.
I know. Thank you so much. And I know we got questions, but I would love it if you would at least tell everybody about Simone because I love this book. I also love Truly Madly Royally as well, but could you please just tell us about
Simone
Breaks All the Rules real quick?
So everybody, Simone Breaks All the Rules is about a quirky, cool 17-year-old who's Haitian American and whose parents are have her in sort of a lovingly protecting her into a cocoon. They're overprotective. And she dreams of breaking out and becoming a social butterfly ahead of graduation. And the first thing, she teams up with other late bloomers like herself to craft a senior year bucket list because together they want to do all the things that they were not able to do, including take their own date to the prom. Because yes, Simone has an arranged prom date that her mother set up with a nice Haitian boy, a son of a friend. And she's like, no, it's not going down like that. So she's trying to get her agency and it's an adventure to get there. So yeah, very much inspired by some of my life. So a little cathartic writing it, but it's a humorous tale with a little bit of a love story too.
Yeah, I loved it.
But yeah, just we were both talking about just revising and all of that, and I'm revising my next YA coming out next summer. And the title is changing a lot, but right now it's Cicely's Guide to Love and Magic.
Ooh, it's a good title.
It's a sort of an adventure novel based at Brooklyn's Labor Day parade, which was canceled yesterday, but it's something I grew up going to, which is a Caribbean carnival in Brooklyn. And so there's a lot of magic and mystery and there's sort of a scavenger hunt and it's set there. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And I know we want to grab some questions from the audience. And I hope that they get to ask some burning questions that I see.
All right. I've got a couple. I suspect, Michelle, you might get a bunch of questions in your signing line in person too. So someone would like to know what made you decide on 1995 specifically?
Okay, that's a great question. And I've told people before, it's not because I was a teenager in 1995, even though I was. I originally was looking at making her jump 30 years ahead, and I was going to have it be 1990. And then I started doing some research and discovered that there were a lot of things that happened right in 1995 into 96 as far as technology jumping forward. And so it just seemed like it was the perfect time when things would be jumping forward. Like the fact that Amazon was founded and Craigslist was founded and eBay. I mean, all of these things, the internet was just starting to explode. So it was the perfect time when she would be aware of it, but not really understand what it was yet, or that it was going to be such a big deal and it was going to change like the way everyone did everything. And so it seemed like from that standpoint that it was the perfect year to set like her beginning.
That's great.
All right, I love that. And then the other question I have is, what was your favorite scene that you loved but you had to cut?
Oh, trying to think. I'm trying to think what I cut from this book. I mean, I rewrote the ending a couple of times, but I don't know if I would call it my favorite scene. But I did have something in the originally in the ending, and I don't know, it's like kind of spoilery, but I'm really happy with the way that the ending is in the book now. But there is this scene in the book where she watches the movie Miss Congeniality, and she comments on the scene where Sandra Bullock does the sing, the solar plexus, instep, nose, groin. And so in the original book, I had something at the end of the book where she actually used that on someone.
Oh.
And so, it's much better the way that it is, but I was kind of sad she didn't like go full circle and get to like beat somebody up, but it really wouldn't have fit in the end. It wasn't quite right for Jenny to do that, but it was fun at the time when I wrote it.
Love it. Love it.
I love that. All right. Well, those are the only questions we got in the chat.
Okay.
So I did want to announce that the online scrunchie winners are Patricia and Jamie.
Oh, yay.
So if you will email me, I can get your addresses to Michelle. So it's Melissa, MELISSA @thenovelneighbor.com, and we'll get you your scrunchie. If you ordered a book from us online to be shipped, it will be shipped out in tomorrow's mail. And other than that, I would just like to thank you all so much for being here. What a great night this has been. Debbie, thank you for being such a great moderator and conversation partner. And Michelle, congratulations again. It's been such a journey for you. And I'm so glad that the book is finally here and that we could all come together both virtually and in person to celebrate tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Congratulations. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie, for being here.
Good night,
I can't wait
everybody.
to meet Jenny.